Hello everyone. Today I will start it 12th class biology chapter 1st reproduction in organism. Reproduction is a physiological process like nutrition, respiration, excretion and so on. Imagine what would have happened if organism had not reproduced. You will realize that reproduction is very important as it ensures the continuation of similar kind of individuals generation by generation. Through this process, new individuals of species are produced. Firstly, I was discussed reproduction. What is the process of reproduction? Reproduction is one of the most important characteristics of all living beings. It is necessary for the continuation of species on the earth and also to replace the dead members of species. The process by which all living individuals produce their offsprings for the maintenance of species is called reproduction. We all know the universal law of nature which states that everything in the world is mortal, whether living or non-living. It will come to an end one day, but we see that still the life goes on and also the balance in nature is maintained itself by balancing birth rate and death rate of the individuals. All living organisms grow and become old with the time and maturity and ultimately die, and new organisms have to be produced in their plants. This phenomenon of production of new organisms from existing organisms of the same species is called reproduction. The purpose of reproduction is to maintain the cycle of life. Cycle of life means birth, growth, development and then death. It is one of the most important characteristics of living organism. It is essential for the survival of a species on the earth and to maintain the continuity of life. In the simple way, the process by which an organism is able to produce more of its own kind is known as reproduction. It is physiological process as like nutrition, respiration and so on. We all know that approximate lifespan of some species as like man approximate 100 years alive, elephant 80 years alive, dogs 20 to 30 years alive. Long alive animals are tortoise 200 years alive, and banyan tree was 250 years, and longest life is sequoia tree. Sequoia tree is the 3000 to 4000 years alive. So this chart all animals have many years alive condition. Some species have only one day alive, but some species have 1000 years alive. This process continuously goes on with the process of reproduction. So it is main process of the life spans condition and maintain the life cycle. In the next chapters, modes of reproduction explained in the next video. Many modes of reproduction process which reproduce plants and animals. So today's I stopped this topic and mode of reproduction explained in the next video. Write the some homework of this topic. First question is why reproduction is main process of maintain the cell cycle. Second question is why life cycle of animals is shortly than approximate lifespans. Thank you. Have a nice day. Hello students. Today's topic is mode of reproduction. What is reproduction? You all know that because it is in starting the chapter. The next is mode of reproduction. There is a large diversity in biological world and each organism has evolved its own mechanism to multiply and produces offsprings. Offsprings means individuals or newborn plant or newborn baby. The organism habitat, its internal physiology and several other factors are collectively responsible for how it reproduces. Reproduction can take place in different ways or different phases. Mostly in plants reproduces in 3 phases and animals reproduces only 2 phases. So this chart mode of reproduction first is vegetative reproduction present only plants. Next is asexual reproduction present plants and animals both. Third is sexual reproduction present higher class plants and animals both. First we would explain vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation are types of asexual reproduction but present in only plants. In this process, the new plants are obtained from the any parts of old plant. Repeating again, in this process, the new plants are obtained from the any parts of old plant like stem, roots, leaves without the help of any reproductive organs. Vegetative reproductions are vegetative reproductions are two types: natural reproduction and artificial vegetative reproductions. First is natural vegetative reproduction. When new plant grow in old plant in naturally called vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. For example, ginger, potato, turmeric, onion and sweet potato, etc. Next is artificial vegetative propagation. Artificial vegetative propagation is performed by human beings for commercial production of corn. Some common artificial methods are cutting, layering, and grafting. The process cutting is present only horticultural plant or ornamental plants. Horticulture plants means gardener plant whose grow in garden at home. For example, rose, grapes, sugarcane, etc. In this process, cut a small piece of any parent plant and dip up in any beaker or wet soil. Sometimes new plant stem grow in roots and other is shoots and develop a new plant from old plants. This is called cutting process. Next is layering. Layering process present in only citrus plant. Citrus plants are lemon, orange, etc. In layering process, roots are artificially induced on the stem branches before any detached from old part of propagation. So this structure, one branch of old plant underground in the wet soil. Sometimes underground branches grow new leaves or branches. After some time, cut here and grow in new plant. Layering are mostly two types, mound layering and air layering. Air layering especially called gutting. So this structure process of gutting. In process of air layering, here we show a part of branch, draw a cotton bandage and attach this main branch. Sometime it's cut here and grow a new plant. Next is grafting. In this process, which two parts of plant are jointed in such a way that they grow as one plant. Mostly this process present in dicotyledons plant. Dicotyledons plant means with seeds are present two parts covered in one cover. For example, mango. So this structure cut in main branch parts and secondly cut in this plant. Thirdly, attach this plant and next is bandage and sometime grow a buds like so. This plant have both characteristic also. It is very beneficial process of mangoes. Next is asexual reproduction, present in plants and animal both. In asexual reproduction, a single organism is capable of producing its own kinds. It means without the involvement of sex organs or sex cells. In simply asexual reproduction, the offspring arises from a single parent. So, the production of a new organism from a single parent without the involvement of sex cells is called asexual reproduction. In this reproduction, only single parents is capable of reproduction. It is the simplest mode of reproduction and it takes place in simple animal and plants. Asexual reproduction are many types. First is fission. Second is budding. Third is fragmentation. Fourth is spore formation and last is regeneration. First is fission. So this structure, the method of fission, it is one of the most common method of asexual reproduction is unicellular organism, for example algae, fungi, protozoans and several bacteria. The body of organism after attaining a certain size simply divides into two or more parts, each having a parts of nucleus. It is the main important point, each having a part of nucleus. Without nucleus, it not grow a new organism. There is two type of fission. First is binary fission, second is multiple fission. Binary fission means bi means two, means a single parents grow two daughter offsprings, and multiple fission means a single parents grow multi numbers new babies organism. So this structure stage of binary fission in amoeba. Seen here, amoeba is divided in two cells with the nucleus and made in two individual amoeba cells. So it's called binary multiple fission. Next is the multiple fission. Multiple fission is divided of parent cell into several small equal size daughter cells. It present only viruses or bacteria. So this structure, a single parents divided in 1, 2, 4, 8 and many. This is called multiple fission. Next is budding. It is the most common method of reproduction in lower organisms, especially yeast cells. The yeast cell protoplasm bulks out in the form of a bud that grows and is equally separated from the mother cell. So this structure, one mother cell and bulk out the bud. It is the growing process. Second is bulk is enlarged and this show new buds. In the third structure, a parent cell dividing condition a bud, and third structure separated daughter cell and new yeast cell from parent cell or old cell and growth the new cell. This method called budding. So this structure, bud is enlarged condition. Third is bud is separate condition. Second is bud is factored or it is parent cell, and next is daughter cell. This process is multiple budding system. One or two buds are attached in parent cell. These are parent cell and these are the bud. Budding system present mostly hydra, yeast, mycelium and sometime bacteria, etc. So this structure stages of budding in hydra. Next process is fragmentation. In fragmentation type reproduction present in algae. In this reproduction, animal break in one or two small fragments, and each fragment has capability to grow independently into a new thallus or new organism. In fungi, and some bryophytes present fragment type reproduction. Next type is regeneration. Some lower organisms like hydra and starfish have great power of replacement of lost part. This phenomenon is called regeneration. Repeating this definition, this type reproduction, some lower organisms like hydra and starfish presents. This type reproduction have great power of replacement of lost part. This phenomenon is called regeneration. It means if the body of organism cut into small pieces, even a smallest pieces, they can regenerate into new individuals, can be regenerated from small body fragments. Each parts developed a new organism. For example, planaria, this is called flatworm, is found regeneration. For example, this is the parent planaria cut into 3 pieces, 1, 2 or 3. First part, second part and third part. This is the first, this is the second and the last. After some time, this part grow upper part and this part grow lower part, and this part grow upper and lower part both, and growth 1, 2 and 3 types planaria organism. So this structure planaria divided in 1, 2, 3 parts, and each part developed new planaria. Next is spore formation. Spore formation present especially viruses and bacteria. Sometimes it present algae. In this mode of reproduction, the parent plant produces much more tiny spores which can grow into new plants. The spores are microscopic, tough and resistant bodies which are round in shape and can grow into a new plant under suitable conditions. For example, rhizopus or bread molds. This process is called sporangia because sporangia grows in by spores. So it is called sporangia. In algae, these spores called zoospores. In fungi, these spores called only spores. So this structure formation of spores or zoospores in algae. When spores have flagellated or flagella are present, this needle-like structure are flagella. So its spore called zoospores and without flagella called only spores or sporangiospores. Sporangiospores present in fungi only.